So today we will have a look at pattern programming. Okay. So pattern programming is nothing but we can print the patterns, like whatever is a patterns, like a star patterns, square patterns, right? So triangle patterns by filling up the stars. So that kind of patterns, it is not required. Nowhere it is asking, it is nowhere it is useful in the projects also, but it will definitely improve your logical thinking. So that's why I used to tell this concept in Java, right? So let's get into this. Now create a package. Pattern programming. One second. Let me go by one, pattern one today. So I would like to print 1 space 2 space 3 space 4 space 5. So how can I print this in a single line? Can anyone tell this logic?
We will use for loop, sir, first of all.
Okay, for loop, that's good. Now instead of a for loop,
While loop also we have used.
no, that's fine. For is fine. For is good. Then instead of for
okay, sir. Int I equal to 0, int I equal to 1, semicolon I less than or equal to 5, 5.
Okay.
I plus plus.
Right. Now what you will keep inside of a for loop?
We will give the int I equal to.
Is it really required? Just need to print the
no, sir.
array,
sir. Array, we will give the array. Initialize the array, sir.
Why? Why do you need an array? Just to print. I wanted to see this output.
Just we will give system.out.println, sir. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Print only we have to give. Because if you give ln, it will print like.
Print, we will give the print command, sir. System.out.print.
Yeah, let's see with the ln once. It will give you the output like this, but I don't want. I don't want like this. I wanted to print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the spaces in a single row. So remove the ln. Now try to execute. Yeah, it is somehow correct, but it is not giving with the spaces. Right? So
yes, sir.
When you put the space in between this?
Double quotes, sir. We will give the space in double quotes. Then it will.
Yes. So we have to give after printing the every number, we have to give some space like this. It will append 1 space and after that 2 space, 3 space, 4 space, 5 space, right? It will print like this. Now check it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is printing with the spaces. Now this is proper. This logic is giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the spaces in a single row. This is the logic for it, right? That's true.
Yes.
Now, my question is, I would like to print this 5 times. I would like to print like this 5 times. What we have to do? Just think logic.
Again, we will
Easy.
nested for loop, sir. We will
It
use
requires a nested for loop. So basically, this logic is giving 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This. And again, if you wanted to print this logic, again you have to use this. And if you wanted to do this, again you have to execute this. Like this, 5 times you have to execute. Let's say, do like this.
we will write a function, sir. Function we will
No
write.
need, no need. I can do like this, isn't it? 5 times, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It will give you, but you have to maintain system.out.println once. After printing one series, one row, you have to take a break, new line, right? So ideally, this is not the right way. Then how can we do this? We need to execute this for 5 times, right? Now, create a for loop, same for loop with the 5 times looping int I equals to k, int k equals to 1, k is less than or equals to 5. It should also loop for a 5 times k plus plus. Now, what it will do? It will just loop for a 5 times. And what it will do? It will just print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the spaces. If I keep this, cut it and paste it inside of this. If I keep this inside of this, what it will happen? This will go for a 5 times. For each and every time, it will execute this, isn't it? Just apply this logic normally, like k equals to 1, k less than or equals to 5, k plus plus. So it will start from 1 and it will end for 5. That means it will go for 5 times. Whenever k equals to 1, it will come and execute the whole thing. Whole thing in the sense, there is again a for loop. It will execute this and it will print this, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And after that, it will go back to the k equals to 2. Then it will execute. Then it will check k less than or equals to 5 or not. 2 less than or equals to always 5. Now it will come and execute this again. So this logic, we already know that it will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the spaces. No need to explain it again, right? Now again k equals to 3. It will again execute this. K equals to 4. It will again execute this. K equals to 5. It will again execute this. Now k equals to 6. It will fail. It will come out of the loop. Now this is the logic for to print this. But if you see, if you run it, it will be printing in a single line. That's fine. There is a small mistake. There is a very minor mistake actually, because after printing a first iteration, let's say iteration, it has to take a new line. So how can it take a new line? For k equals to 1, so this is a k equals to 1, and this is a k equals to 2, 3, 4, 5. For 5 times, you have to take a new line. So after printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, just system.println, print nothing and take a new line. That's it. System.println with the empty statement. It will not print anything, just taking the new line, right? Now try to have a look at the output. You can see here, same thing it is printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with the 5 times. Any questions? Any questions so far? Just don't combine each other. Don't combine the both at a time. Just have a look at this logic first and put this logic inside of one more for loop. It's a kind of a inception, but that's fine. Very easy. First time it will be look like, okay, it's some kind of different and some kind of tough, right? But it is not like that. Apply the basics. This is a very basic. And the basic inside of a basic again, right? For loop inside of a for loop. So irrespective of whatever is a code you're having in a for loop, it will execute it. Whenever k equals to 1, it will execute whole thing. While executing, there is again a for loop. So it will come and execute that, right? So let me go to pattern 2. This pattern. So I would like to print 5, 4, 3, 2, 1s. Okay. Five times. Now, what is the logic for it? Let's think about a first. That will be common. You can put that in a for loop, right? Just think about a main condition. So let me write that main condition. So how can you print from 5 to 1? Can you tell me, guys?
Int I equal to 5, sir.
Okay.
I greater than or equal to 0.
0 or 1? You want me to print?
1.
Right. I greater than or equals to 1. Now?
I minus.
Right. I minus minus. Now if you print this without ln, it will print. I'm just printing the spaces also. That's fine. It will print from 5 to 1. We already know this. So let's check it out. You can see 5 to 1. That's it. That's it, right? Logic is done. You don't need to think about this anymore. So just keep this complete thing in a one more for loop. Int h equals to 1, like h is less than or equals to 5, h plus plus. Keep it inside of this. And with the system.println empty statement after printing the complete row. Right? Now this is about it. You don't need to think about the outer for loop or inner for loop at a time. Just think about the inner for loop once. Then if you write the logic, then it's well and good. Outside is nothing but just to loop for 5 times. That's it. You can keep 5 to 1 also here. That's fine. We are not using h anymore here inside of it. So if you can write 1 to 5 or 5 to 1, both are same. It will just loop for 5 times and it will directly execute this. Right? Now try to see the output. You can see 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 5 times. Right? So that's about it. Now pattern 3. So how can we, what is a pattern 3? Now let's say without spaces, I don't want to print the spaces, that's fine. So this is a pattern I would like to print. So now tell me, so here, how can we do that? Just always think about, there is a 2 for loops, right? Int I equals to 1 less than or equals to 5, I plus plus, right? Always think about this outer for loop is for a rows, right? It will give you the rows and this will give you the columns, isn't it? Come back to the previous program. Now you can see 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5 is a one column, 4 is a one column, 3 is a one column, 2 is a one column, and 1 is a one column. What it is printing? Which for loop it is printing? This is the one it is printing 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 column wise. This is going by the row wise. So whenever the h equals to 1 is executing, this is going to be applied for this complete thing. This is a row. Whenever I equals to 5, only 5 I'm talking about. So it will be the I equals to 5. This is a column wise. Now I equals to 4, I equals to 3, I equals to 2, I equals to 1. And again going back to the second row, first column, second column, third column, fourth column, fifth column, like this. So always this for loop is for columns and this for loop is for rows. Okay, come back here. Now these are all the different columns. Now you can say this is a, I mean, every row is having the same data. That's why we are having the same logic and keeping inside of a for loop. But here, every row is not having the same data. Data is different for row to row, right? This time, how can you do that? Let's say int j equals to 1, j is less than or equals to 5, j plus plus. Okay. Now we have a for loop and it will loop for 5 times. For each and every time we have another for loop, it will also loop for 5 times. So total 25 times it will go. For each row, 5 columns it will execute, isn't it? For each row, 5 columns. We already done it. Now what we have to print? Printing thing is just pending. After this, there should be a system.println. That's it. Now inside of a print, if you put a j value, what it will print? If you put a j, it will take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 it will print. And if you try to execute this, let's see. See 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3. It's not like that. But I need a 1 in a complete first row, 2 in a second row, 3 in a third row, like that. My statement itself is saying the answer actually. 1 in a first row, complete 2 in a second row. What is a row here? So this for loop is a row. Whenever this starts, this complete thing will print the same value. Whenever I equals to 1 only, it will print for a complete row. Whenever I equals to 1, this complete row will be executed, right? If you use the I here, let's say, that's it. If you use the I here inside of it, so what will happen? Whenever I equals to 1, it will completely execute this for 5 times. This loop will go for 5 times. For each and every time we are printing the I. That means 1 it will print. It will take a new line. It will go to the second iteration. Whenever I equals to 2, it will again loop for 5 times. It will print the 2 for 5 times. And I will be common right here. I will be common. J will be changing the value inside of it, but we are not referring the J to print. We are just directly referring the I here. Understood? Let's see the output. You can see 1, 1, 1, 1, 1 in a first row, 2 in a second row, 3 in a third row, 4 in a fourth row, 5 in a fifth row. Right? Like this, you have to utilize. Just remember this logic. That's it. You don't need to think like, okay, I missed it. How can I do it in a future for a different problem? It's not like that. Just remember the logics. Right? That's it. That's about this pattern. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. But you have to use I here. Okay. Now, going back to the next pattern. So this might be the last pattern for today. Pattern 4. So this is something tricky. If I do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like this, so what you have to do, just directly print, just directly use like this for loop, and there will be another for loop. Just insert the I here. I mean this I internal for loop. Okay. Now, if you wanted to print this kind of pattern, let's say 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what you have to do for this kind of pattern, it's something little tricky, but it's very easy. If you see, try to see maximum numbers, 5 columns are there, and maximum rows, 5 rows are there, right? Just try to write 2 for loops with the 5 and 5. That's a common thing. In I equals to 1, I less than or equals to 5, I plus plus. This is for rows, as I said. This is for columns. It will go for again 5 times. Very simple logic. Now I'll just print J. But it will be very tricky. Let's say this is for columns, right? Okay. So whenever row is started, so it will come and execute this complete thing, right? It will execute means it will start from 1 and end with the 5. It will print the J. So it will keep on executing 1 to 5, printing 1 to 5 in each and every row. Let's try to run this program. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is coming. But how exactly it is deciding? Can anyone tell this? Is like how exactly it is deciding 5 is the ending, 5 is the last digit. So how can it will be like it will be ending with the 5, starting with the 1 and ending with the 5 in each and every row? Anyone? Let's say this row, how exactly it is starting with the 1 and ending with the 5? Where exactly it is taking?
Yep. It is we are giving j equal to 1 now, sir. That's why
Right.
it is taking.
So this is how this is where it is taking j equals to 1 and it is ending with the 5. Let's say since it is 5, it is just ending with 5. Let's say if I keep 4,
I.
let's say 4, it will just print 1, 2, 3, 4 only. If I print 3, it will be taking 1, 2, 3 only, right? It will be the limit. You can say this will be the limit actually. Now that limit is depending on if you see the input. Let's say if you see the input again, first row is having a 1 limit, second row is having the 2 limit, third row is a 3 limit, and fourth row is a 4 limit, and fifth row is a 5th limit. If you see this, the limit is really depending on the row number, right? Right? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
It is
Yes, sir.
depending on the row number, right? So row number is getting from where? We can get it from I,
I.
right? So whenever I equals to 1, this will be the first row. Whenever I equals to 2, this will be the second row. Whenever I equals to 3, this will be the third row. Fourth row, fifth row, like this. You no need to keep a hard-coded value, dummy value, either 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No need to keep that. You can directly use I. So whenever I equals to 1, it will place 1 here. So that means it will just go for a one time. And whenever I equals to 2, it will place 2 here, and it will go for a 2 times inner for loop, 2 times in a second row. And whenever I equals to 3, it will go for 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. Let's see the output. See, it is printing properly, right? Any questions so far in this? In pattern programming itself, any questions so far?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Still tricky, that's fine, I can understand. So like somebody can understand in the first time and somebody cannot, that's fine, but just try to practice today, right? Just try to practice, try to analyze, try to adapt it actually. Okay, so then it will be easy. Try to see more patterns. Tomorrow also we will have the same class actually. Try to see more patterns in the Google. Try to implement by your own. If it is not, then see the output, then see the code, try to understand the code, try to remember that logic. So whenever it comes in the future, try to apply that. All right. That's about patterns. So that's fine. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.